Hi, guys. Welcome to our brand new podcast, The Critical Spectrum, with Mike and Frank. But with this time, we're joined with two new co-hosts, Matt and Colin. Say hello, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
So I'm Frank, obviously. Mike, say hi.
Hi.
Most of you may know us from our previous podcast. If not, hello. Welcome. And then, Matt, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Matthew Lundeen. I'm good friends with all of these guys. Me, Colin, and Michael actually hosted a radio show back in high school at LTHS, and eons ago, and we loved it so much and we missed it so much that we were just like, hey, Mike and Frank are doing a podcast that's doing pretty well for, just randomly deciding to do a podcast together. So we figured, why not just kind of try and reignite some of those old creative genes and those old creative juices, drink them all up.
Now we have alcohol.
Yeah, I'm almost done with. I'm done with the beer. This was the beer that we were supposed to. I was expecting to drink this slowly throughout the first half hour of the show. That didn't. But
enough of the stress got it to you, so you drink it early.
All that excitement! I gotta entertain the people.
We're doing this over Discord, so we're working with it.
Technical issues abound.
Yeah, Jesus.
Colin, go ahead. Introduce yourself, sir.
I'm Colin Steele. As Matt said, we're all good friends, and realistically, I'm out of college. Pandemic's hit. I got nothing going on. Might as well start a podcast again with these guys. So
I'll go snap to that. Or what was it? Jazz snap?
Jazz? No.
Jazz.
Poet snap.
There you go.
I'm excited to.
Slam.
I'm excited to continue this podcast / radio show, whether that be Michael and Frank's old podcast.
It's basically the great collab of the century.
Exactly.
Obviously.
To become the greatest thing that's ever.
The greatest creative, whatever you want to call this ever.
The greatest creative geniuses.
That'd be
together in one show.
That would be called a clusterfuck, I believe.
Yes. That would have been a good name, honestly. But
damn, are we changing names?
My original suggestion of us combining our names and it just being called Fuck 'em.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That it'll come out.
Yeah.
Mark our words now.
Fuck it.
Once we blow up. Oh, and we will blow up. We're gonna have shirts. He's gonna say fuck him.
Matt, that's the voice. He's doing the voice.
Oh fuck, I'm doing the voice.
No, you don't. Michael, do this weird voice. You'll hear it, but
you'll know. You'll probably get tired of it.
Michael, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to our new listener?
Oh. I'm Michael Murgia. Been doing a podcast for not that long before, but months. I guess it was kind of a while. But then we kind of we're like, we need to reinvent ourselves.
Yeah.
And
we need
so here we are.
Fresh minds, and that's what we got.
Cool. Frank, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Sure. I was waiting for you to say what the fuck you did because that's what they all.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I'm working 24/7. What do you want from me?
He's a Geek Squad agent.
Oh God.
My name is Frank Pontrelli. I am a avid. I like comic books. I like video games. I like Star Wars, stuff like that. I'm also a personal trainer. That's about it.
Yeah, he's gonna be our personal trainer throughout all this time.
I guess so.
That would actually be a cool to peek behind the curtain. That'd be a cool segment if we all started post pandemic. If we started
personal training,
we start doing weight training together. That'd be fun.
That would be actually kind of fun. Maybe that'll be a segment of the show. Frank will start personal training people out there for free.
How about no?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to take a pass on that.
But let's not get lost in the future, ladies and gentlemen, because we've got just today. Just to start off this podcast, we've got a new weekly segment. We're so excited to do it. It's going to be a weekly segment for every single episode that will be coming out in the next several weeks, of course, for the hit Disney Plus series, The Season 2 ended. ended
Yeah,
today.
Matt, it's already over.
Hold on. Are we just doing a season 2 overview?
Yeah, it's a joke.
He obviously didn't get the memo, Frank.
You didn't get it either, motherfucker.
No,
Oh,
As many of you have probably noticed, we're on this podcast, we just talk about media, video games, technology, really anything that interests us, and kind of just shoot the shit about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Pretty much.
today's main topics are going to be Mando finale / season 2 in general, and then our initial thoughts on Cyberpunk.
Initial for
our
some of
initial
us.
thought.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
So we're all at various different stages in the game, so you'll have different perspectives on certain things.
Yeah, listen, you got the perspective of next gen, previous gen,
and then
previous gen
mid consoles with 2
mid-gen refresh, original console, and then you also have people in the beginning, middle, and end of the game. So we're going to cover it all.
So, and also we have the luxury of having a Cyberpunk veteran in Colin, one of the 3 people in the world that have actually beaten the game.
Right, yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
So we can get some insight from him on that. But yeah, me and Mike actually have the brand new Xbox, so we don't have to deal with any crashing or limited bugs. It still bugs a little bit, but not too bad.
Isn't it funny though that you just said like that he's one of the few to beat it, and yet he's the one playing it on the old Xbox One?
Yeah,
Like,
it's because he doesn't have a job.
but yeah, I was gonna say he's on the 1X technically, so he's in a mid-gen refresh.
Yeah,
at least.
he's Gen 8.5.
Yeah.
But moving on,
Yeah, before we just go into Cyberpunk, we wanted to talk Mando first.
on our on the Mando finale in general. Frank, do you want to go first?
Ooh, baby. So is that how we're gonna do it? We're just gonna give our thoughts on and go person to person.
Yeah, just for now, and then we can
Sure.
discuss. Yeah,
Okay, so you want me to talk about the finale or just like the season in general?
whatever you want, really. I mean,
I think we should start with the finale.
Yeah, fuck it.
And then afterwards we could talk about the rest of the season.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay.
A little bit backwards, but we're doing
No,
it.
that's fine. Obviously, spoilers, everyone. This is about the last episode of Mandalorian that came out today, or I guess if you're listening to this on Monday, it came out Friday. So,
Yeah, honestly. Before we continue, I also wanted to say, whoever put Mando spoilers in your thumbnail for your YouTube channels, you are the worst people in the
I
world,
agree.
and you deserve whatever's coming towards you. Anyways, Frank.
All right.
Anyway, it shows the guy that did that. He's in his house. A hologram of Mando pops up. You have something. What do you call it? So the season finale, I thought that singular episode in its own is greater than all 3 of the sequel movies, in my opinion. It was, I think that it was perfect. IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. I probably would give it a 12 out of 10, just like the extra star that you would give it. I thought it was awesome. The very fact, me and Michael were watching it together, and I was screaming from the get-go when Boba and Mando walked into that bar together.
He was
and
legitimately
they looked like both ways. I'm like, bro, Mando is cool in his own. He's this new awesome character. And then you just got Boba Fett, which everyone knows Boba Fett has this like, he's in every Star Wars nerd's hearts.
Yeah,
it's true. Boba Fett.
Even when he really doesn't deserve to be, at least early on.
Yeah.
Like
No, absolutely.
Yeah, my dad is definitely one of the people who's. Oh, sorry, Colin.
Oh, sorry, that's fine. No, I was just saying that it's really astounding the impact that Boba's had on the franchise. When in the beginning he was just a really minor, almost to the point of just a background character.
He was he had like 3 lines in the original trilogy.
He had 3 lines, and then he went out like a bitch. But the thing is, it's a sign of how great of a presence the characters in that old trilogy had, because Boba, even like whether it be the new voice actor, the new actor or the old actor, they always had like a really intimidating and instantly like iconic voice to them. Like there's a reason why they decided to go with that guy's voice as like the model for the clones, you know, and all that stuff. So like
his voice in Mando is like, just a simple man making my way through the universe like my father before. It's a bad imitation, but it's so fucking cool.
And also like his new outfit is really cool too, because he's got like kind of like the black underneath with like the kind of the coat hanging down underneath.
And then he went
repainted.
Yeah, he went to Sherwin Paints to go.
Yeah, seriously,
get a fresh coat.
He looks amazing.
That new paint job is incredible, and also I like the accents of red on the black like cloak underneath. I just everything about his outfit and just the way that he looks, it's both everything that we used to associate with Boba Fett being cool, but they've given it literally a fresh coat of paint and made it something that I think going forward, like even people who were skeptical, like my dad was skeptical of Boba Fett because he never really got into the hype because he understood, like he showed up like 3 times. Like what was cool about him, and like he didn't really, you know, he didn't watch a ton of the expanded universe or read any of the expanded universe books, so it's like you miss out on the stuff about him escaping the Sarlacc pit. So you really, Boba Fett hasn't had as much of time to really earn the clout he has until now, and I think this is going to basically from here on, it's going to make Boba Fett like one of it's going to make him continue his legacy as a fan favorite character, but I think it's going to be even more powerful now going forward.
Yeah. Well, if I'm not mistaken, he now controls Hut space, correct?
Does he? I thought where was that clarified?
Did you see the end?
Yeah, there was an end credit to Mandalorian.
Oh, there was? Oh, fuck.
Oh my god!
Oh, you guys don't know. Okay, I saw it. Go and watch it right now.
My dad had to holler down and be like, "By the way, there's a post credits."
Did you see it?
I did.
Colin, do you care if we spoil it or
Tell me what it is? Yeah.
So pretty much what happens in the end credit scene is it goes to Jabba's palace, which is being ruled by, you know, that guy. Remember that list I sent you guys? That funny list I sent of my tier list. The lizard, the weird thing around his neck.
Yeah.
He is now the leader, and I'm pretty sure all the Hutts are dead because, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of them died in the Clone Wars by Maul and some shit. So. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure all the Hutts are dead, and this guy is now ruling. He's at least ruling Jabba's palace, which are at least Tatooine, and I think it's Hutt space. But basically, Boba pretty much goes in and kills him and then sits in Jabba's throne.
Oh, shit.
And then it literally says the book of Boba Fett. Yeah, there's
Boba's
a series coming out next year. Yeah.
Next year, Christmas time, Boba Fett show.
Okay, I missed that part, but all right.
Yeah, go and watch that afterwards. But if I'm not mistaken, Boba Fett, I think he rules over Hutt space, which, if you don't know, Hutt space is massive in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it's humongous. I think it's like a lot of the Outer Rim, I think.
Yeah. I looked at, if you look up a map of the Star Wars universe, the green part of it is Hutt space, and it is humongous. It's almost, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, it's almost the size of the Republic's territory, I'm pretty sure.
You have to have a lot of resources to get that fat as Jabba the Hutt, okay?
I hate that name, honestly. Hutt space.
I know. Hutt space.
Hutties. You speak Hutties?
Have you seen Jabba's like relatives in the Clone Wars? Anybody? I know Colin's seen the Clone Wars.
Fucking Z or Q or whatever her name was. She had like gold stripes and she was purple.
Yeah. No. That was a dude.
What a dude?
That was a dude.
Zero.
Yeah, Zero
the Hutt. I remember.
And then he had his son, and then there were a bunch of other Hutts that I'm.
You guys are forgetting the most important one. Pizza the Hutt.
Oh, that's
baseball.
You're so lucky that I am my knees underneath the table, or I would be smacking the shit out of him after that joke. Anyway, so the fucking season finale was amazing. I love that they brought Bo-Katan, and I forget her name, but she's part of the Night Owls, I believe. I'm so happy they came back into it.
My question is, where the hell was the man? Where, like the guy man?
No.
Where was he the whole
Obviously,
time?
they couldn't have him because they had a great girl power moment.
They did.
But at the same time, like, where the fuck was he? He just disappeared.
Stormtrooper.
Which guy are we talking about?
The one from the third dude in the Night Owls from episode.
He had like a Jango Boba style helmet too.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, why the hell didn't they get Ahsoka in here and get
My question is, why won't Ahsoka just fucking train Grogu?
She's obviously busy.
Ahsoka isn't a true Jedi, and she's got other shit on her plate right now.
Yeah,
exactly.
Trying to find Ezra. That's a whole nother conversation. All those TV shows.
Yeah.
God damn.
I do like.
Oh man.
Go on.
No, go ahead. I was just saying, oh man, I'm the type of shit. Go ahead, Matt.
I like that they make this kind of a trend, or at least it's starting to become a trend, where the finales, they bring back a lot of the principal cast that have popped up throughout the season. And I agree that, it made sense that that Ahsoka didn't necessarily return from the finale. She's got obviously her own stuff going on. And to be honest, I kind of feel like one of the reasons why I love The Mandalorian is that it puts a lot of the stuff that isn't Jedi related at the forefront of its story. Like obviously there are Jedi, but like when they show up, when there's lightsabers or the Force, it's treated as like a bizarre thing or like something that's really huge in the context of what is otherwise a war story or like, a Western and a samurai story and all kinds of inspirations that go into creating what the show is. It's all those other things, and they show parts of the Star Wars universe that I think sometimes get shafted in exchange for these kind of regurgitated narratives that can be interesting if told well or told in creative and nuanced ways, but otherwise they can get tiresome after a while because I want to see more of the world besides just cool Shakespearean talking space knights fighting with laser swords.
Well, that's what made the original trilogy so special in a way, that they made these Jedi seem like almost godlike figures, like you almost never saw them.
Yeah.
And then the prequels and Clone Wars normalized that, but in a way I respect the Mandalorians do treat it more like the originals did.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I do like that a lot. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
How there's so few Jedi and it's so rare to see them.
Right, and that kind of
said that. She's like, there are very little Jedi.
And I think that's why fan service is paying off so much in Mandalorian, is because you feel like you're kind of, obviously you're the outside looking in, obviously, but like the fact that they're like, oh, like there's these things called Jedi, you're just kind of like, oh shit, like they don't know that, and you're like, damn, we know about that.
Remember the first season of Mandalorian? She's like, they were like, remember Mando literally said, you want me to deliver him to the ancient enemy sorcerers?
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, those are the Jedi.
But that's kind of what made Rogue One work as well, because it kind of did the same thing, obviously.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh my god. Great movie.
I'd just like to take this moment to issue an apology and appreciation. So this episode, there have been a lot of episodes that, haven't been just directed by Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni. Like there have been episodes that have been directed by people like Robert Rodriguez. Robert Rodriguez directed the episode where Boba Fett made his like grand entrance this season.
Great episode.
This my least favorite episode of season 2 was directed by Peyton Reed, but Peyton Reed also directed.
Was that the snow episode with the frog lady?
Yes, but
we just fucking immediately called it out.
Trash.
And yet Peyton Reed directed this finale, and I just like to say, really? Peyton Reed, I forgive you for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay, I actually enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I enjoyed the first 2/3. I just thought the ending just kind of like was a bit of a. It was just a lot of white noise by the end of it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed a lot of the comedy and stuff in the first half of that movie, but I have a love-hate relationship with Peyton Reed's work, because when I think of Peyton Reed, I just think about how we could have gotten Edgar Wright to direct Ant-Man, and instead we got Peyton Reed. But now after this finale and after his work here, faith restored.
Renewed confidence.
Renewed confidence. And I just great job with this finale. I had limited issues.
Reed, when you listen to this, we're sorry.
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry.
I didn't know you even directed the yeah, but great episode.
I think I only had one issue, and Colin feels the same way. There is a pretty big cameo in this episode, and while
we're spoiling stuff, Matt, you can say it.
Okay, so
yeah, I was gonna say we're already spoiling things.
Yeah, I know. So Luke shows up and it was a cool moment. It was well shot and everything. I was really hoping it was going to be someone that wasn't Luke.
Yeah, as
Why?
Matt said,
Yeah.
I agree.
What the fuck?
Because and the reason is because so far the Mandalorian across both seasons has done an incredible job of introducing characters that are either original and are just fucking awesome, and I will forever like now consider them to be some of the greats among Star Wars mythos, or they reutilize characters from the expanded universe material. I was really hoping,
or
Clone Wars, or Rebels. I was really
animated stuff.
so I was hoping. I thought it was probably a lot more likely that I thought they were going to go for something like Ezra from Rebels, or
even Cal.
No.
or Cal, but that would have been
No.
a bit. Because that would have been
I knew
more-
there was no shot either of them were going to be in it.
But
yeah,
I
I
was-
wasn't expecting that.
But I was hoping.
Ezra's Ahsoka's show.
That's true. I'll give you that.
yeah.
But I was
And then
really
Cal
hoping.
Kestis would be way too old. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But I was really hoping it was going to be Kyle Katarn. I was really hoping that it was that they were going to show up because they had the Dark Troopers, and those were a big part of like the Dark Forces games and like Jedi Knight games. I just really was hoping, because like I was going to say this earlier, but I'll say it now. Like when I played like the Jedi Knight games growing up, like I always looked at Kyle Katarn as like he's a Jedi like Luke, but he's also like kind of like he's got that charisma. He's got that charisma of like someone like Han Solo, and so to me he was like the middle ground that was like perfect. He's also like exactly my type. So Kyle Katarn is awesome, and I was really hoping that it would be him. I also think that the CG kind of bugged me a bit, and even though the CG was really well done to like portray a young Luke, sometimes I felt like the line deliveries by Mark Hamill.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, I was going to bring that up.
It felt like it was very like too monotonous, and I didn't feel that same like, because like when young Luke like talks, like Mark Hamill, like in like Return of the Jedi, when he says stuff like "I'm a Jedi, like my father before me," like those types of lines, like he says it with this passion, this subdued passion that made Luke a really cool hero in those old films. And I just kind of felt like maybe they were getting, I don't know if it was literally Mark doing a younger voice for the role, or if they like maybe like reutilized older lines from other material, but it just kind of sounded off to me.
Yeah. Don't.
Well, okay.
To be fair, wait, before Frank gets into this here, they actually, from what I was reading, it was Mark Hamill dubbing. So he actually did the voice, but obviously they couldn't use him as a CGI double just because of how his body and everything looks different than what young Luke would be now.
Yeah.
So I understand how it's weird because Disney is notorious for dubbing. If you guys didn't know, Pedro Pascal is not always in the Mandalorian armor. Like a lot of the time.
Oh, really?
Makes sense.
He dubs over. Yeah. So they kind of, the thing that kind of shot them in the foot is they had a CGI double who had to talk, but then put Mark Hamill's voice and you're looking at the lips.
Right.
That's what kind of screwed them. So they had to do it as, like,
Sebastian Stan.
they should have just used Sebastian Stan.
I know.
I get respecting the original role of Luke and still having the.
No, Mark Hamill
Why
said
they recasted Han Solo? How is that any different?
And Mark Hamill,
I know
literally
that.
came out and said he should do it. If anybody's going to do it, this man should do it. He literally agreed.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about
that. It's literally under contract with other Marvel, which is owned by Disney. It's so easy to just be like, hey, bro, you want to be the most popular character in Star Wars?
No
yes,
way.
I do.
And possibly all of King's sci-fi history.
Yes, all of sci-fi history. But honestly, though, I'm going to completely disagree with you, Matt. I am so happy that it was Luke.
I'm on his boat as well.
Luke, the thing I'm most happy about with it being Luke, and it was so shocking to me, first seeing when I saw the X-Wing, I came in my pants. It was so amazing. And then when I saw him just making easy work of these Dark Troopers, right? Dark Troopers?
Right.
I keep wanting to call them Shadow Troopers for some reason. Dark Troopers.
That's
and we
important.
finally get to see Luke post Return of the Jedi being what Luke Skywalker is and just beating the shit out of these troopers and crushing that one. That was it for me. When he crushed it, I was like, oh my God, like this is what Luke Skywalker is. We finally get to see this. Like Luke Skywalker is the Jedi. He is the number one best. He is the son of the chosen one, or arguably the chosen one. And he's the best, strongest, most powerful Jedi with the Force and all that. And we finally get to see that. And it's so amazing. He was a little, it was, I agree with the dialogue. It was a little whatever, but I'll take it for what we got to see him fighting wise. And then R2-D2 in it too. Him and Grogu just made me so fucking happy that I was like, and then that was just such a beautiful scene, because then Mando takes his helmet off for Grogu, and I'm just like, wanting to cry, and I'm like, God damn. But yeah, I was so happy with Luke.
I was so ecstatic, honestly. So like happy. The thing that really,
I hope he's not in the Jedi Temple that Kylo Ren fucking burned.
That was my question. Isn't Grogu just gonna get ganked by Kylo and like?
So this is what I'm hoping.
You just said ganked by Kylo.
Yeah.
My thought is because how the new Disney CEO doesn't really like the sequels himself. What if they just change it?
I would love that.
I've heard that they've actually
just did TV shows instead of movies.
Okay, hold on.
I've heard them. They've been considering just wiping the sequels.
Okay, all right,
bro. This would be the perfect stepping stone to wipe those fucking.
They can't though, because it's Carrie Fisher's last performance. They couldn't.
Okay,
they can't. Well, I'm totally with it, but they can't do it.
Hold on. I get that. I think that would be the most spineless and stupid bullshit that they could ever pull, because they already fucked up once by capitulating to hate and then changing what the ending was going to be, and then we got a lifeless piece of shit like Rise of Skywalker. I don't want them to just go ahead and then just say like, oh yeah, those other two films, like, because I like Force Awakens. So do I. I like 40% of The Last Jedi. I really
fair. Honestly, I agree with you completely on that. And Force Awakens, good start, and then Last up until Jedi, the point where Rey and when The Last Jedi, when Rey, you think Rey and Kylo were going to team up, and the dark side and the light side are going to team up for the first time, and then they don't. That's where it goes downhill.
I agree.
The round 100%. Kid vanishes into his clothing. Oh my god.
That part was good. I liked that.
My issue with the sequel trilogy is not the journey that it was. It's the ending. Like, where the hell do you take Star Wars from that ending?
Yeah. Well, to see my biggest issue. So we're gonna rehash this one more time.
We can't turn this into a sequel. Okay. So everyone get their individual thoughts.
Let me say one last thing. The thing that really screwed it over.
That grinds your gears.
That really grinds my gears. Is that they had different directors for every movie. Yeah, that is what fucked them over.
Which is actually interesting, though, because I think I would have rather had, what was his name that was supposed to direct the Rise of Skywalker?
Colin Trevorrow.
Colin Trevorrow was going to make it Star Wars Duel of Fates. And that actually, I think, would have been better.
It would have been better, but you know what would have been better? If they all decided to do the same thing.
Dave Filoni and just let the myth.
Well, that would have been the perfect thing to do. But movies. They should have just said, hey, this is the plan, and nobody can stray from this plan. That was their issue, is that they said each movie, they're like, well, let's just fucking go from here. It's like, no, you need to know from the beginning what you're going to be doing.
Were just too much for me. And Rey isn't even Palpatine's fucking
granddaughter.
Okay.
I think
we need to stop.
He's a daughter of a
clone. We need to stop. I'm sorry.
If I might just say something about Mandalorian, and then maybe we can do an ad break real quick, and then get back to talking about Mandalorian.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Star Wars has really been kind of a stranger to me for a while, because I loved Force Awakens, and I still do. People complained about it retreading old ground.
Agreed.
Which is what fucking Phantom Menace did anyways.
Exactly. But for me, New Hope hasn't really aged that well. And so if I can watch a new movie...
I don't like New Hope either.
New Hope is admittedly slow and kind of boring.
And so if I can watch a new movie that tells the story a bit better, I'll take that. For me, Last Jedi, it was heavily flawed, but I think it's one of the most beautiful looking Star Wars films. And the story it told... I could agree with that. And
directly not.
And the story it told had a message that was so kind of integral to the core of the franchise that I think it deserved a sequel that could truly achieve the potential that was squandered with Rian Johnson's film. But instead of honoring the things that worked with Last Jedi, we got this lifeless finale. But The Mandalorian, when I finished season 1, it filled me with this kind of joy that I haven't felt since the night that I saw Last Jedi in theaters, right before the internet just ruined Star Wars for me for the next 3 years. Like, I'm no longer afraid to call myself a Star Wars fan after Mandalorian season 2. Because it shows us...
It was a dark time.
I can now stand up proudly and say the new stuff is good.
Yeah, and it's like... because this show is revealed that like the future of the franchise doesn't have to be relegated to these new trilogies. We can have shows and standalone films that explore the wider world, incorporating...
Which are better than the movies.
That incorporate loved characters without making them feel like shoehorned in references. Some people criticize like the MCU for like being overly referential at times, and I can get that because it makes me feel like, oh god, do I have to watch 15 movies to enjoy this new movie that everyone's talking about? Whereas like season 2, like we have Bo-Katan and Ahsoka Tano. I never watched Rebels or Clone Wars, but I loved these characters.
Damn, dude, you gotta get on that. Those are so good.
I know, but like that's why. So but it says something that I built such an attachment to them, despite not seeing the other stuff that they were in, because they were introduced to new fans so effectively.
I have my nieces and nephews who are watching it and are just like, who are liking it. They're like literally 5 years old and they're watching this like, oh my god, the Mandalorian and
my
Baby
little
Yoda.
Cousin. He sends me Boba Fett gifts all the time, and he's like under 10. And he loves the Mandalorian. Like we bought him a Mandalorian Lego set. It's like bringing in a whole new age. But what I wanted to say was the thing I loved about so much about saying Bo-Katan is I've seen the Clone Wars, and seeing her in the Clone Wars and seeing her in Death Watch and all the things that Death Watch went to and the encounters with the Jedi they've had and how she was there when Maul killed Pre Vizsla. I hope it's not a spoiler. Show's been out for a long time.
It's been out for years.
Yeah, when he killed Pre Vizsla and took over Mandalore, and she was there at the Siege of Mandalore, and she probably was there at the Purge of Mandalore when the Empire came.
Right.
Like that's just so cool to see her there, and she probably knows Jango Fett too. And like I don't know, maybe she thinks that's why she thinks Boba's a disgrace because he's like a copy of him or something. But I think it's so cool when you have a character like she knew Maul, so like she could talk to Maul about Maul to Mando or something like that. I think it's just so cool.
Well, same thing with Ahsoka. You were able to be like, oh, I knew Jedi Master Yoda, and you're like, oh shit.
I know, it's so cool. I love to see the like ages of it all coming together. It's so
absolutely
so awesome.
I have here in my notes that I feel like, and I touched on this earlier, that I think that Star Wars, what it needs to do and what I think it has been doing with stuff like Mandalorian is it needs to evolve beyond its traditional staples. And I'm not even talking about just the old cast. I think, Jedi can be overused and they can be focused on too much. And that's why I love this show, because we get to focus on this other kinds of action, other kinds of rivalries, and other kinds of lore, and let those take the spotlight. And the acting alone, I think makes those human stories so much more powerful. If I had to give like a rating to any of these, I'd probably give season 1 maybe like an A-, just because some of those early stories, it was a humble beginning, I'd say.
Yeah.
But I definitely give season 2 like a solid A at this point.
Oh yeah,
season 2 I think is
if
perfect,
we had to
honestly.
do like it would be it. I loved it.
Besides the frog episode, that was the it wasn't a bad episode. But it was like that was like the fact that is your lowest point in the season is a good thing, because that still was was still a good episode.
I do want to touch on. Wait, do we need to do an ad break?
Let's do a quick ad break and then we'll come back and talk about that. So hold that thought.
Yeah. All right. See you guys in a bit. So what I was saying was I wanted to just touch on episode 7 a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So episode 7 was, some people didn't like it as much, but it's my favorite episode besides the finale. And that is the episode where they go get the dude from prison. I forget his name.
Mayfield.
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr. They go get Bill Burr
who
from
hates
prison.
Star Wars, by the way.
Well, used to hate Star Wars, apparently.
Yeah, you hate
they go get him from prison, and then they bring him and they go to the Imperial place, and they have the whole thing with the pirates. But what really makes the episode my favorite is I feel like this whole season we didn't get as much character development with Mando himself, because we're getting a whole bunch of new characters, and we so focus on this one quest with Grogu to get him to these Jedi that it shows. You really see him as this cold bounty hunter in the beginning of season 1, and then you already come to the very end of season 2 at episode 7, and you throughout the show you see how important it is to keep his helmet on. It's his identity. It's like his religion, just like how Muslim females have to wear their what is it called? Hijab. Yeah, it's like it's very important to them, and you see that throughout the show, and then you see with no hesitation. Mando will take his helmet off and risk that all.
I think I get what you're saying. I feel like for, if you were looking at season 2 as a whole and thinking, oh, there's not a lot of development for Mando, that episode is a huge moment.
Yeah. It's awesome. And he just no hesitation takes it off. And like I said, he goes from this cold bounty hunter, doesn't care about anything. I mean, he cares about his Mandalorian creed, but that's it. And then you get to this no hesitation, takes his helmet off. First off, he's like, I'm going with you. I'm going in. Because he's like, it's either that or you're not getting your green friend back. And Amanda's like, I'm going. And then he goes in, he's like, oh, you got to take your face off. He's like, I'll do it. He goes up, does it.
Take your face off.
Whatever, helmet off. And I just thought that was so cool. I've watched that scene 4 times already. And it's so cool. Bill Burr, too, he's like, I didn't see your face, nothing. You did what you had to do. And it's so cool. And then he does it again at the end of the season finale and almost made me cry, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now he touched his face. It was like, oh,
another thing episode 7 did for me is it did the thing where instead of just showing the Empire as just terrible, evil people, it showed the other side of it.
Yeah.
Where, Mayfield was talking about how he's like, yeah, it was humanizing. Yeah. Usually you think Empire's evil, it's terrible, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, you see that it's kind of like what you see nowadays, or not nowadays, but you see in general, in the stereotypes of army. Yeah. It's like the army is not evil, it's the people leading the army that could be the ones that are doing evil things.
And what he did say that is Empire, Republic, it's the same shit to these people. Someone's ruling and someone's getting ruled.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Operation Cinder was brought up too. Do you guys know what that is?
Oh, I used to know what it was, but
yeah, I don't know too much about it. But can I just say, that whole scene with Mayfeld and that, the way, and just the way it ended with the general, is that was like a Tarantino. Hilarious. That was like a Tarantino moment. That was. It was
scary, but then hilarious at the end.
Yeah, it was.
They looked at each other awkwardly. That was awesome.
Yeah. And can I just say, shout out to Pedro Pascal. I love him. He's awesome. But if you look at the way that his head moves in that scene when he's taking off the helmet, the way he acts, he has to look and move in a way where you can tell that he's spent so long with that helmet on that he's always had to look at things a specific way.
And I just felt the anxiety that he must have felt when the dude came up to him and he had turned to him and he's like, he's seeing my face right now.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
And then his friend, Bill Burr comes up and he's just awkwardly, he's just awkwardly sitting there with his mask off and breaking all his rules, all for Grogu, which I thought was so awesome.
In that episode and in the finale, they have moments with Imperial characters where you really get some kind of parallels to almost I almost kind of compare it to certain portrayals of maybe if you ever watched movies that portray the American military as the antagonist, or just the idea of war, or the war on terror as an inherently a negative thing. Right. You kind of get that same sensation in the way that they're characterized. These guys, they're the villains from a certain point of view, but you also then you hear that one guy in the finale talk about how do you know how many people died on the Death Star? And it's
oh yeah, that was wild.
Yeah. That scene was awesome.
He's millions of lives lost.
I loved that scene.
That was
the
good.
fact that oh my god, yeah, the fact that was just awesome.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Yeah, it's and that made me think too. In that moment, I'm thinking oh, this guy's it kind of made me think, because I was kind of like, oh, like this is like, you know, it's just an Imperial guy who's holding somebody hostage. I'm like, okay, he's like whatever evil scum, whatever he is. And then you think about it, and then after he says that, you're just kind of like, damn, he's really more of like talking about.
He was like millions of people died, and
right. He's talking about more of his friends, and it's like he's just like basically like just people. A bunch of people died, and everybody was cheering for it. Like, we're just doing our job. Like, we're just trying to bring law and order, because that's what they think they're doing.
Yeah.
They think they're just
so fuck this guy though, because he was
yeah, I mean, still
fun
fucking,
of
don't get me wrong,
Alderaan being blown up
yeah,
and
that,
shit.
that.
So like, guy, you want sympathy, and you're just blown.
But that's the thing too, is that it showed how brainwashed they are, because he was like, oh, the terrorists like place Alderaan, which was just known as a peaceful place. It wasn't even like a war. It wasn't in wartime or anything.
Yeah.
And it's so much more effective than any of the other times when like villains in the past. Like, there are a lot of shows and films where the villains are like, don't you see, we're also victims in a way. But like, it's never like that effective, because like the characters saying the speech like will have like, I don't know, like murdered an orphan like 3 scenes earlier. And it's like, well, that's not convincing. But there's
like at the end of the Killing Joke, where they tried to like make the Joker, like Batman was like, we can get you fixed and work together. It's like, no, honey, that's not gonna work.
Yeah,
that was done like 500 billion deaths ago.
Yeah. But that is effective too, because at least in that case, like that's a story where they're making a point of how both sides in that debate are equally like broken philosophically, like they're at their breaking points. Whereas
we need to have Michael and Colin read that and have a discussion about it.
I watched the movie.
Such a good
the comics better. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So that was like really cool, and it's a whole new dimension to, you know, Imperial characters when you kind of have those parallels to like, you know, stuff that goes on with I'd say it's very much a parallel to like modern military type of stories. I would say that if anyone listening is a fan of Star Wars, and maybe they've wanted the story to explore more of that duality of like both sides of the conflict, and maybe like flesh out the antagonist a bit more, I think check out like some of the entries in like the Mobile Suit Gundam series, because that is a sci-fi franchise that I think, in addition to having certain lore that's very similar to the Force, it has almost every single entry in that universe and in that story. It has kind of like this it always is about the people fighting the wars, but they always find a way to like dissect both sides of a space war and a conflict, to the point where you realize that like these aren't like the good side or the bad side. Like, these are human beings who have their own motivations for doing what they're doing. And I mean, there's probably a smarter way to put it, but like, I just think that like I watched a show called Mobile Suit Gundam Unicorn which is on Netflix, all 7 episodes. And I watched that, and I was like, this is like exactly what I feel like we wanted from like The Last Jedi, with like kind of like really kind of dissecting like the conflict on both sides and like giving a gray area. And so I feel like, thank God The Mandalorian like is great and Star Wars' future looks bright, because I almost started adopting this like attitude that it's like, yeah, I think I grew out of Star Wars, and I think I just love Gundam now. but
I definitely feel what you mean. I was like just forgetting about Star Wars.
Yeah, I was like,
on other things.
I was this close to watching Star Trek.
Oh, Matt. Okay,
Come on now, Matt. Whoa, uncalled for. You know, if you do like that side of the military, like seeing the like Imperial guys and like seeing them kind of like how they're not monsters. If you've ever played the Star Wars Battlefront 2 story mode, have either of you played that?
I haven't. I've heard good things though.
It's basically it is about Operation Cinder, and you play as basically the Navy SEALs of the Empire, the Inferno Squad, and you basically play it, and you basically the soldiers are realizing like what the hell is happening, and they rebel, and it's like really cool.
They basically realiid that they're on the wrong side.
Yeah.
They're like, oh shit, we are evil.
Yeah, so you get a play during this Operation Cinder that's mentioned. So if you haven't played that, definitely play it if you like Mandalorian. But
cool.
What do you call it? I want to hear some thoughts about the season from Colin. I feel like Colin's.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, what was your favorite episode?
I want to hear what he's got to say.
So I'm about to get shot on the street for what I'm about to say.
Okay.
All right, well, then we're going to cut you off now.
All right.
No, I'm kidding. That was enough from you. Okay, Matt.
No, okay. So
about
finale.
the unicorn show on Netflix.
So finale. I really liked it. I love Luke to pre-say that just
cool.
What's the word? Pretense that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought the victory was too easy. In my opinion.
I think that was the point.
Was it?
It was kind of like a false.
What do you expect?
Like
you think Luke is going to come in and have trouble with these as a Jedi Master?
No, I'm not saying the Luke part. I'm talking about the parts of them breaching it. They just they did no issue. They were just glacking dudes left and right.
You are also talking about highly trained Mandalorians versus dumbass stormtrooper.
No, you think Moff Gideon's ass is gonna beat Mando in a 1v1?
No.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the whole entire infiltration as a whole. Like the dark, like Mando fighting one dark trooper and then putting them all out the airlock felt kind of like.
But I get that because here's the thing. Because at first you're thinking like, okay, well then the dark troopers come back, and it is like they really do increase the tension and them kind of being.
I was getting anxiety watching it. They were scaring me a lot.
They're going to break down the door, and it's all going to be. But I knew I kind of get what Colin's saying because I knew as soon as that happened.
No, I get where he's.
This is in the moment where a Jedi's going to show up. Like I was thinking like this is the moment where Kyle Katarn's going to show up, and then Luke showed up, and I was like, okay, that's cool too. But
I understand it, but at the same time, they had to get them out of the question because of what they showed before.
Yeah.
Or out of the equation. So like the only two things I could have seen, one I think would have been stupid, and the other one is basically what they did is just like literally just ejecting them. The other one I was thinking like, oh, he's just gonna come and stop their launch code, and they're just gonna all still be there, like all just depowered.
I was expecting worse, so I get what you're saying because we were talking about this new episode yesterday with the dude at the comic store. And he was like,
shout out.
They might do an Empire type ending where like it's a bad cliffhanger, just like how Empire ended and Empire Strikes Back. So I was like, honestly, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like they are going to do something like that. Maybe Grogu's not going to be saved. Moff Gideon's going to get away, or Tarkin's going to come in and like take Baby Yoda away or something like that. So I was expecting the worst, and I was anxious the entire episode, and then it ended up just being like a cakewalk pretty much, which I didn't have an issue with, but I can see your issue.
Yeah, Colin?
Going off that, Frank, before I get back to my thoughts on the episode, I actually thought they were going to kill Grogu and it was going to turn into a dark revenge story.
That was the theory.
I could have seen that.
You know how much money they make off Grogu?
Yeah, you think they're going to throw away millions?
They're not going to kill him.
But back to my thoughts on the episode. Luke, freaking his action scenes were dope. As Frank said earlier, the crushing of the Dark Trooper, love that. So cool.
The fact that they showed him using what is considered a dark side power really makes you think about if the Legends Luke is coming, where he is embracing both sides of like the emotions still, but still being a Jedi. That's what really got me excited.
Go on, Colin.
Oh, okay.
Let me continue.
Luke, I thought the line delivery was a little monotonous, as Matt was saying. But I think the real issue I had with the episode, great episode overall, was that just Mando just lets Grogu go without knowing who this guy is. Like from his perspective, he doesn't know who Luke is. He knows who. But you may say, oh, he trusted Ahsoka. But yeah, that's because that recommendation was from Bo-Katan, a fellow Mandalorian. I just felt it was a bit.
I mean,
Grogu went to him.
Yeah,
Grogu
to be fair, like
to be with him, he knew who.
Yeah,
he knew.
He was noticing that Grogu had a connection. He was also, you have to keep in mind the time that Grogu like called out the Force at that one ancient place. He knew somebody was going to come looking.
I mean, granted, yes, that, but
and on the other side, I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, a Mandalorian recommending somebody is good. But I feel like the recommendation of seeing all these dark troopers get fucked up is also a pretty strong one.
Well, I think it's
I mean, any bad guy could do that too.
I think
know, but still,
I think it might be
Mark Hamill's beautiful mug. You're like, just take my
oh, speaking of mugs, real quick, I thought the jawline was a bit too strong in that CG. Okay,
I think
I thought the CGI wasn't too good, in my opinion. You guys all said it was. Really
it was
good.
better. It was way better than what we got.
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher in Rogue One is terrible.
I do think though it wasn't that bad. I
it
think
wasn't that bad. It was like Tarkin. It was like Tarkin from Rogue One instead.
I thought Tarkin from Rogue One was pretty great.
That's what I thought. So that's
Honestly,
what I think.
I didn't even know it was CGI. So that's how good it was.
I completely forgot what I was going to say. I completely forgot.
Sorry, I was waiting for Matt. And
I apologize.
Colin, what I was going to say earlier is that another way you can think about it, it's like, the fight between Mando and Moff was, it ended pretty, not too quickly. I don't have an issue
with that. It's more the Dark Trooper fight I have an issue with.
See, I think that if you look at like the tension of the episode, you have the entry, you have the breaching and them taking over the bridge and all that stuff. That's that you're right. It was easy, and it was kind of looking like it was going to be like too easy, especially when Mando comes in with Moff Gideon. But I think for me, what sold the entire first half of the episode before all the Dark Troopers come in, I think it was all building to that moment where Gideon's like, "Oh, you fucked up. You got the saber now, and now she can't take it." And this is like her whole character has been wanting the saber, so cool. And that to me was like the moment. It's like, this asshole found a way to win.
Can we talk about that scene real quick? Mm-hmm. What's her name? Something Sackhoff, the person who plays
Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff, who plays Bo-Katan. I feel like she nailed that scene. Her face when Moff Gideon was explaining the Mando that you can't just give it to her. She was just like
so defeated.
You fucked up. Like what the hell?
Do you know what bothers me though?
What?
So Rebels, right?
What you're gonna say? Let me contradict what you.
I know, and because we kind of talked about this already. But in Rebels, you have Sabine, who's like, just fucking take the Darksaber. She does not win it from Sabine. She just takes it from her.
So gee, I haven't seen Rebels in a while.
So no. This is what happened. So I believe this could be a little bit incorrect, but I believe Gar Saxon gets the Darksaber.
Correct.
Who, if you don't know who Gar Saxon is, he's a Mandalorian that was in Death Watch that actually sided with Maul when Maul took over Death Watch.
He was a Maul
So he was a Maul DeLorean or whatever you call him. And he wore red armor. He got the Darksaber. I believe Sabine beat him in a fight with Ezra's green lightsaber and claimed the Darksaber.
Right.
And then she gives it to Sabine. And the only reason, not Sabine, Bo-Katan, and the only reason Bo-Katan accepts it because all the other Mandalorians around her, the clan, are like, take it. You are our queen. Take the Darksaber. So she takes it. I don't think she would do it. And now she's in a situation where she's already done this. She probably doesn't want to take it again like that. And also you got Moff Gideon's ugly ass being like, Mandalorian law.
Chicken franchise behind him.
Right.
Yeah. So
sick reference.
It's different.
It's different. It's different, but at the same time, like it already happened once. Just you're like, why wouldn't she just do it again? Like I understand because like I feel like at this point she does have something to prove because now like they need a strong leader to actually bring back Mandalore. But at the same time, who the fuck in that room is going to say
She's
anything?
never going to be the rightful leader, though, because Moff Gideon can talk. He's going to be alive. He can say, technically, this Mando
They're going to kill his ass later.
Who, Mando?
No,
Mando?
Fucking, what's his
Boba or
Boba's
going to?
Mando's going to rule Mando.
You think so?
Yes. That's my bold prediction.
I don't think
that's
he
Frank's
would
call of the
want
year.
that, though.
Hot take.
But don't you think that could be the tension of the next season? Because it could be them being like, you got the Darksaber, you should probably take over Mandalore.
Well, now you have to think too.
They should just fight each other in like a friendly combat and just see who can rule Mandalore.
You have to think that now that his main quest is complete, if Grogu is no longer like going to be in the picture, what is he going to do now? Now he's going to actually be able to full on put himself into the Mandalorian code.
God! Next season,
the actual Mandalorian code.
Oh my God! Next season is going to be
maybe he does
taking Mandalore back. I bet you, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah, the next season is. I think the next season is definitely going to be tricky. I think this will be because it'll be tough to determine like where the story should go next after this because. It's like, do they want to do like him? Because like you said, like I don't think he'd want to do it right off the bat. Like we'll have to work up to him being like, yes, I'll take over Mandalore and all that stuff. Like, yeah, I think there's definitely going to have to be some more episodic like adventuring before that point. But even then, it's like does he just go back to doing odd jobs here and there? Like maybe he goes back to there. Like maybe it's depression, maybe like not knowing what to do with himself after.
He can't do that with the Darksaber though.
Yeah, but
he can't carry around a Darksaber.
I mean, if he's got the Darksaber, he can. But
maybe it's people coming after him to get the Darksaber. Like people trying to like take the throne for themselves.
Well, part of it is like. If Grogu's gone at this point, right? As Frank said, they're going to lose a ton of money because he's not.
Well, no.
Anymore.
My thought. So the thing is, they already said there's going to be like 10 Star Wars shows, and they've only announced like 5.
No,
there's definitely.
They're not giving a Grogu TV.
If not a Grogu TV show, they're going to give a Luke Skywalker show.
Guys.
Probably, I think they will.
Guys,
and they're going to have him with his fucking.
Fuck the Luke Skywalker show. You know what they're going to do? They're going to do
Kyle Katarn show.
Kyle Katarn teaching Jedi Academy. It's going to be a Jedi Academy show.
But see, I know how.
I would rather have Luke teaching a Jedi Academy than this guy.
Oh, but you know they're not going to do it. But you know they're not going to hire Sebastian Stan, even though they'll be so smart.
Matt. We can try. We're going to start a petition at this podcast.
They'll just kill him as the Winter Soldier, and then they'll just put him in
because then they're just guys. All they're gonna do is just have fucking Mark Hamill's dumb CGI face like there.
No, there's no way they would make a whole show.
I know.
Too expensive.
I know it's too expensive. There's a reason we don't get more Hulk movies. It's because he's too expensive of a character.
Actually, the whole reason we don't get Hulk movies is because Universal still owns the rights, and they're like, if you make a Hulk movie, and if Hulk is the main character, we have to make the movie.
And then we're just gonna get a shitty ass movie.
Yeah, so that's why Marvel never did it.
Matt,
what were you gonna say, Colin? He was saying something.
No, yeah. So, but Matt, see the as we were saying, not to rehash the whole sequel thing we've done a million times in our group. Yes. I could see your point, Matt, about them just wiping the sequels. But the problem with not doing that is they have so much less potential in what they can do with these shows, I feel like, because inevitably Kylo's going to come in, just kill everybody, and then that's it. Then what's the point of those shows?
But think about it this way. When they did Clone Wars, like the final season, they were just like, hey, remember that movie? Remember episode 3 and all that stuff that was like happening? What if we made a season of a bunch of other cool shit that was happening at the same time and we'll just worry about it later?
No, but I'm talking specifically related stuff.
I know, but then you could just say that like Kyle Katarn was teaching a class somewhere else and then
and his group during like Rey's whole shtick.
Okay, you got me there, but then like that's the same. You could ask the same question as to why like Grogu doesn't show up later on in the sequel trilogy, and it's probably the same.
What I'm saying is that he's got to be taken away at some point from Luke in that span of time.
Probably, I don't know. It's like because like fucking, but by that logic, like Ahsoka or like the Mandalorians should have shown up like during the final battle, and like
technically Mandalorian ship is in the episode 9,
but it blew up.
Yeah, the thing is, it blew up though. So.
Yeah, also, where was Ahsoka during Return of the Jedi?
Look, Ahsoka's not even a Jedi. She's kind of like a rogue mercenary force user.
But she's still going.
She's in the Rebel Alliance still.
She's still trying to do good though, so there's no way she would just stand by when all that shit's going down.
I don't know. I feel like Ahsoka's doing her own thing. She's not really like.
She's too cool for school.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly.
Yeah.
No,
her
show's gonna have Ezra in it with Tarkin, and it's gonna be fucking amazing.
You mean Thrawn?
Thrawn.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
he said Tarkin. We did that
That's
earlier,
like multiple times. I've done that.
So, do you think we should move on to Cyberpunk?
What time are we at, Matt?
We're at. I mean, this is including the bloopers at the beginning and all the shtick, which may have been about 10 to 15 minutes. We're at an hour 15.
Yes, we should
definitely go to Cyberpunk. Just to wrap up Mandalorian, great season. Like so many great episodes. Honestly, we didn't. We just did like a fucking last episode.
Yeah, it was an amazing. It was the highlight of my week for these last few weeks. I'm really sad that it's done.
Honestly, this is probably some of my favorite Star Wars stuff like ever. So
yeah, Bo-Katan, Ahsoka live action. Like I don't think we could have asked. Then Luke again. It was amazing. Amazing. Anyone else? Final thoughts?
It's an A.
It's an A. I like it.
No, I love it.
I'll give it an A++.
Best episode.
Would you say it was the best episode?
Ahsoka's episode was the best episode.
I would agree, but that's mostly because to me, like you look back in the series history, like the biggest influence on like the Jedi was like Akira Kurosawa films. That's what Lucas like inspired. That he originally wanted Toshiro Mifune to play Obi-Wan Kenobi, who was like the star of like a lot of Kurosawa films. And so like to see an episode that's just so deeply entrenched in like samurai film tropes and aesthetics, that to me was the single greatest episode of the entire series.
I agree.
Yeah, let's all say our favorite episode. So both of you guys, your favorite episode was
The Jedi.
Jedi. Okay. What about you, Mike?
Honestly, I don't know if I can put a finger on one. The only reason is because the seventh one, I really just like that one scene. But
now the rest of it isn't that fantastic.
That's what I'm saying.
Like him fighting the pirates is like cool, but not like
cool stunt work.
Better than Ahsoka.
All right, I'd say the finale is my favorite, but my favorite scene out of the whole thing is that one scene in episode 7.
Oh, my favorite episode is last episode. My favorite scene is Luke just being the fuck out of the dark.
Fair.
But I don't know. There was something about seeing the Bo-Katan for the first time. Them like saving Mando and stuff like that. Was pretty badass.
That was pretty dope.
Fuck.
Also,
it just has so many good episodes.
And can we just say the music? What's the name of the composer again?
I don't know, but it's fucking fantastic.
The music for Luke was awesome too.
Yeah, Ludwig Göransson. He also did the music for. He also recently did the music for Tenet, as well as what else did he? Oh, he did the soundtrack for Venom.
Awful movie.
No,
I was entertained.
Oh yeah, everyone was entertained. It just was. Oh, he also did Black Panther's soundtrack. Everyone was entertained. It was just. Bad.
I love Black Panther's music. Is great.
Yeah.
Bumby.
Oh my god!
And your laugh.
That wasn't Black Panther, sir.
I was just thinking of
that was a hit movie, Endgame.
I was thinking of the Endgame.
All right, Cyberpunk 2077. Don't buy it.
Oh.
All right.
Whoa.
End of the podcast.
Don't buy it. How about you just don't stop being a broke bitch and go buy yourself a new... Not to you, Matt. Not to you, Matt. I'm saying to everyone else.
Really? Because it sounds like you're talking directly to me.
Go buy yourself a new console.
All right. You know what? Here's actually my take on that. Before we get into a review, do we want to talk about the issues and everything first before we talk about how we actually... I guess that kind of goes hand in hand.
I just want...
Order for
Colin, just go for it.
Yeah, let Colin take the lead because we've been unleash the steel.
Yeah. Okay, well, wait. Just because we talked about it, let me just get one thing out there really quick. Sorry, I just want to get one thing out. This isn't even about the game. Okay, it is about the game, but still, people like what Frank said. There are a lot of people out there who like just buy a better console or a better computer, but at the same time,
that's not feasible.
The game, no, not even that. It's not feasible. I don't even care if it's feasible or not. the game was originally set to come out on these consoles.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were going to not make it optimized for those consoles, the developers should have canceled that then. They should have been the one that said, you shouldn't get it on this, so we're not going to do it at all. This is completely like, it's nobody's fault who bought the game. They bought it thinking this is supposed to work on my console because guess what? I can buy it on my console. That's where they fucked up. And I don't blame people. I blame the developers. But at the same time, if consoles are becoming more PC, I also understand that respect, and that PCs are kind of work like that, where if you don't have a strong enough rig, you can't really play it.
And it should be, and we should bear mentioning, Frank and Michael have both played Cyberpunk 2077 on the Xbox Series X. Colin is playing it on the Xbox One X, and I am playing it on the original Xbox One.
Yikes. Can I get some props for securing 2 Xboxes on the pre-order date? The first
Good for you.
Pre-ordered it.
Good for
I
you.
got myself one, and then I also went on Michael's account and got him one.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
I was like, I'm putting this on my resume. Like, I feel so accomplished. Anyway, yeah. I imagine that Matt is having a terrible experience.
What we should do is go whoever is earliest in the game, share their thoughts first, and just go on.
That would be me.
Okay. Yeah. Probably safe bet.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it's definitely
me and you are like right at.
Yeah, honestly, it should be me and Frank because we're both at the same.
I'm a little bit ahead of you because I already
like one mission ahead of
to
me.
Dex. You have to talk to
Dex. Basically.
Really
Yeah. Oh, I'm way too early. Okay, but to be fair, for me, I literally have done all of the side missions I can do. I'm literally level 13 going into this mission. I don't know how high that is comparatively, but I'm very high. Point is, for me,
nerd.
I have a lot of. I have a lot of gripes that don't come down to your main issues, because for you guys, I'm sure it's a very different type of issues or a lot of different issues and stuff like that for your guys on the other consoles. For me, I'm just going to talk about my overall experience. I really enjoy the game so far. I have not had any game-breaking anything happen. I will say I've had to reload once or twice from like NPCs that like somehow fell through like a stair or something like that. Like once that I had to reload because of that. But yeah, I know that was stupid. But besides that, it all comes down to polish for me. It's all down to
What do you mean polish?
like the overall polish of the game is not what I was expecting for this. Like
graphics?
the graphics a little bit too, because on Xbox at first,
The
at least
mechanics or something like that? Is that what-
mechanics too. Like they could have tightened up mechanics a little bit, kind of the physics of some
I
things.
hate the driving.
Driving is all right. It's just they can definitely change it up a lot. But what really, like for me, I always look at the smallest things, and I think that's really getting me, is that I always like look in detail at pieces of games. Like even the other day, like I was talking to you about it, I took out like my gun and I was looking at literally something that people probably wouldn't even stop to look at. I looked at my shadow of my person and I looked at it, I'm like, this looks terrible. They did not think about
shadow is so janky.
It is. So because what it is what that, and it's probably why they don't want to do third person, is because they don't have to worry about what your sprite looks like. So they're like, yeah, you're just going to see, you don't see your own body. It doesn't matter what you look like. But in interaction with the world, like you see yourself looking like, it just looks so dumb. And then I took out like my revolver, and I had my revolver like kind of pointed down, like you're kind of like not using it. They have that animation. Your shoulder is literally like all the way up in the air, like so weird in the shadow. Yeah, it is. If you look at your shadow and you have your revolver just like pointed down like normal, like you're just kind of carrying it, it like if you look at your shadow, your arm looks fucking like it's dislocated out of its socket.
Great.
And it's just those small things that break immersion for me. So for me, how the game's running perfect, like I'm literally hitting like, honestly, I think I'm hitting a solid 60 frames per second in performance mode. I don't think it's dropped any lower than that. But it's also those little things that are breaking the immersion for me to be like, this is going from a great game to like kind of meh, because I'm seeing all these stuff that are really just kind of things that they should have thought about just to at least give it that extra level of polish, especially for what kind of game they're trying to like hit it as like a next gen, like never been done before kind of crazy AAA fucking quadruple A title, whatever you want to call it. That's kind of what's kind of bringing it down for me. But overall, as a story, at least where I'm at, everything's like bringing me in and interesting me. The lore is really kind of getting me in. The lore is just really cool. I've always been interested in like those kind of cybernetics and everything like that. Like I literally saved up everything, and I have like legendary like operating system chips and everything already like installed because I just wanted to be like Hacker Man running around. It's just really cool. The amount of freedom it gives you is pretty amazing. Even in the beginning of the game, like I already feel like I'm doing like almost everything I want already. Like I already have my mantis blades and everything like that.
And you haven't even been able to leave this.
That's the thing. I'm only in Watson, which is like in the quarantine thing
of the map.
You already have mantis blades?
That's what I'm saying. I've done so much side stuff, and they allowed me to get. I'm street cred like 23. I got mantis blades, and I also bought the projectile launcher thing.
Jesus Christ! I have literally no cyberware.
Matt, if
that's what I'm saying. I really
stuff, you'll get there so fast.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. I did all the side stuff even before I went in the car with Jackie, like that really beginning mission. I literally did all the side stuff. By the time I got to Victor for the Ripper Doc, I bought the mantis blades. I bought a legendary or an epic one first of the OS that gave me like 10 sticks of RAM for me to start hacking people with. It gave me a shit ton of stuff. I already unlocked double jump and all that. Like it's insane how easily you can get it if you really just do a bunch of anything stuff.
But the side missions.
I literally do all the side missions, and then I'm like, okay, now I do the main mission.
It'll make it a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
I'm just getting melted away, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's literally no reason for me to be hacker stealth man anymore because of how overpowered I am, but I also still want to do it. So I'm still playing like that still. But that's kind of what gets me though, is that why I think it's a great game for me, where I'm at in the story and everything, and where I'm
some
at.
Updates, it'll be fucking.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like there was a 15 gigabyte update today that I was playing it with, and it definitely helped because I was having a lot of weird sharpness and like blurry texture issues until after this update they fixed a lot of that. So now it looks overall better on the Series X. I can't speak obviously for the older console, so I don't know about that if it really affected those guys, but at least on the Series X it helped. But overall, it's just the overall experience. I'd say I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10 right now, just because again the polish and stuff like that overall is kind of really bringing it down. But from what I've played and what I've been doing, and just how much fun, and there's not a game that's really like, I've been at work and I was thinking like, damn, I really want to be at home playing it right now. I haven't had that game in such a long time.
Not even with Valhalla?
Not even with Valhalla. Okay. I haven't had a game like that in such a long time that now I'm like, this is one of the games that really has gotten me like really back into gaming, because I'm like, fuck, I can play it.
I can agree, because when I watched you do it for the first time, because I didn't have my copy yet.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, this is giving me like Skyrim vibes.
Sorry, I think I need to put up my score to 8.5. You have genital customization, 8.5, guys.
That was pretty nice. It's a shame though, because like you don't really get to see the genitals that much, even in the sex scenes.
It's a pain. Wait,
true.
See?
Yeah, it's CD Projekt Red.
No, yeah, you just get to customize your genitals, and
they have. If you've ever played the Witcher games, like the Witcher games had. Okay, well those had sex scenes, so that's why I was excited. Like, oh, finally, I'm gonna get the CD Projekt Red treatment when it comes to love scenes, unlike the garbage you get from Mass Effect or like Assassin's Creed, where it's just cut to black, and it's like, well, that's not fun.
In defense of Mass Effect, it's really just Andromeda that. Like,
true.
That's fair.
Before I give it over, I do actually want to point something else out, because you mentioned The Witcher. My issue, or what people I think aren't noticing, and this is why, and part of the reason CD Projekt Red is not being able to get away with it this time. If you guys remember the beginning of Witcher 3, it also had a really terrible launch. Like, it was buggy. It had a lot of issues. That's why I never stopped. Or that's why I'd never finished it, is because when I first started playing it, I had a shit ton of issues. I'm like, I don't want to play this. It had a lot of issues, but they fixed it, and now it's like fucking Game of the Year, best Western RPG of all time. So I have a lot of faith that they're gonna fix this, but you're just gonna have to give it time, basically.
Right.
But the reason not getting away with it now is because now that after Witcher 3 and everybody's only remembering, oh my God, look at how good Witcher 3 was. now there's like a lot of hype around it, and obviously the game was fucking in development for 20 billion years. Now you have a lot of disappointment, and that's why they're getting a lot more flack about it this time. But that's my take on it all.
To be fair, I think it also is an issue in terms of. Sorry, I don't want to take up too much time. I think it's also because the number of delays, and I think them not quite accurately assessing how much time they would have needed. Like already as it is, games are announced way too early.
I was about to say, like this was announced back when the 360 was still a thing.
Yeah, but also at the same time,
I did not.
Yeah, this is like a good 8-9 year old fucking announcement. But at the same time, if it wasn't for the pandemic, and if it also wasn't for the pressure of other people, I know they said there's no outside pressure that really forces release it. Bullshit. People were like talking about canceling their pre-orders if it got delayed again.
Yeah,
like if it wasn't for stuff like that, I think they should have delayed it till next year. And I think they should have taken it off last gen consoles, because by the time they delayed it to mid next year, hopefully consoles will be in stock, more people would have upgraded, and it would have been fine.
And also, if you think about it, like another reason why people probably consider this to be especially bad is because you also look at what came out earlier this year. Fucking Final Fantasy VII Remake came out. That game was one of the best games I've played this year. And that was also in development for a shitload of time. And it's a miracle that game ended up being as fucking good as it was. So that's
speaking of that, Sephiroth is now in Smash. Just wanted to put that in.
Yeah, he fucking impaled Mario to death.
Yeah, I fucking unlocked him yesterday. It was great. Anyways.
That was great. So Frank, tell us your thoughts this far in.
Okay, so I'm gonna be a little quicker than Michael.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had a lot to talk about.
No, you're fine. Yeah, you had a whole bunch.
I could have had more to go on.
I actually probably have played the game less than you, honestly, because I've just played the story.
Oh yeah, I've stuck in probably a good 10 hours or more into it.
So I probably played the least. So we did screw that order up a little bit because we didn't think about that.
Yeah, and I just thought of story progression.
Really. I think it's really fun. My favorite thing about the game is I love lore and I love worlds with like that's my favorite thing about Skyrim and Elder Scrolls is the Tamriel and the world that they make and the cities and stuff like that. And I love the futuristic, like kind of apocalyptic, but kind of like a
dystopian,
shitty, fucked up future that you're in.
Future.
It's so cool, and I love the street class that me and you choose. What did you pick, Matt? I know Colin picked the corporate. What did Matt pick?
I also picked Street Kid.
Hey, a fellow boy.
Fellow, what is the town? What do we call ourselves?
Haywood.
Haywood, Bo. Stop right there. I love that, how it's like this. It's just so cool how like Dex has like a robotic arm, and the cybernetics are so cool. My favorite thing so far was seeing how the rich people pay to see that like programmed death in their head and feel how death feels, and they probably get like a rush out of it. That's like, I'm like, that would totally happen. That's like, I feel like that's so weird. Like I would never want to do that myself, but like, you know how many people want to know what like dying feels like and stuff, and people will just like, in that video, that guy literally sets his friend up and kills him to sell this on the black market, which that was my favorite part. All that stuff is my favorite. Like, the city looks amazing. It's futuristic. It's cool. I can't wait to see more of the map. Like when we first started playing the game, and like I think the first time you see the city is when you get in that. What is the older dude's name? That you come out of the bar.
Padre.
Padre, and you're driving through, talking to him, and you're able to look around for the first time. I was just looking around like, oh my god, this looks so awesome. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of the Gotham City and Batman, to be honest. But I love the city. I love the lore. Like you get little snippets of like the 2020s like corporate wars and stuff. You're like, man.
That's what really gets me is like that one part where you save the lady from that little ice bath and you get to the trauma team.
Yes.
That was part of the thing where like you see how strong just corporations are. You're like, there's no government really. Like it's all just corporations. Yeah. And you're like, you could totally see where the world can get to that point.
But also
over all of you.
Yeah, basically.
Which is
Bro, obviously, it's going to be Google. Google is basically like Arasaka, bro.
Amazon and Google. We're done.
True.
and then Elon Musk will be the White Knight.
Yeah.
I love it. The story mode's really fun. The shooting. I had been playing so much Modern Warfare before this, so I had to get used to the shooting, and the driving's a little mixed to me.
But see, I also was saying, like, we were coming from GTA driving, which they made Midnight Club, which is also a pretty
where
good
you
racing
can
game.
break like that.
Yeah, like you had actually good car physics. And then you had fucking Modern Warfare, which had one of the best shooting gunplay in general in any game. So it's just, I feel like it's a hard transition.
It's fine. It's totally fine.
It's fine. This is fine.
It's fine. It's just convinced me by how many times I say it's fine. But my favorite part besides the lore is the side character, Jackie. I love him. Have you seen those memes where they're like, you're being hunted by like Deathstroke, Punisher, all these like crazy villains? They're like, pick someone to defend you. I'm taking Jackie, man. That guy is a tank. I'll be playing the game, and I am a lower level than like you are, so you're like melting these people. I actually have to like shoot them for a long time and like knife them like 50 times to kill these people individually. So I'm like crouching and strategically shooting them, and I look to my left, and Jackie just comes flying, barges the door up and sprints down the middle and just eating bullets and just pulls his pistols out and just starts shooting everybody. I'm just like, fuck, man. Yeah, I love him. He's hilarious. And he's like calling his mother and shit. I love Jackie. He's awesome.
Yeah,
Jackie's my homes.
Yeah, he's like, fuck yeah, I just put my gun in your face and tried to kill you, but let's get breakfast. And then that like BFF montage in the beginning, I was like, what is this? I love that. But I really like the game so far. I would give it an 8.5 so far. But 8.5.
Yeah.
Because it runs very well on my Xbox.
Yeah, I was gonna say for us it runs so well that I feel like
I was watching because I am a personal trainer, so I walked by and there was like an outside gym going on. I'm like, let's see what's going on in here. I walked up and like it was so funny. They were glitching really bad. Like they would walk up to the weights and the weights would appear in their hands. And it was like maybe like 300 pounds it looked like. And they were like curling it and then pressing it over their heads like nothing. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then the weights would just like disappear. And then I would look over and a girl would be morphed into a guy.
That's the thing. And that's not even come down to performance. That's where it kind of goes into that lack of polish. Like that's just things that are like, just small animations that are just kind of that extra bit of like, this is a living, breathing world. But when you have stuff like that, that breaks your immersion. You're like that breaks that, like, this is not just another world. It's just a game now. Like that kind of thing. It kind of, I don't know, at least to me, that kind of does that.
Yeah. But it's one of those games where like, just like, I bring back to Skyrim so much. Skyrim's my favorite video game, but Skyrim I've played maybe 5 million times. Different characters, different startups, like with mods and stuff. This game, just like how Colin's doing it, I'm literally going to beat this version, and then I'm going to go play the corporate. Actually, I'm probably going to play, I forget what it's called,
Nomad.
like the Nomad. I'm going to play Nomad next, and then I'm going to play corporate.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to be a female with a penis in one of them. I have to do that.
Nice.
I'm obligated. I'm going to be a nomad as a female with a penis.
I love it.
So I'm really excited for that.
It opens up different romance options in the game as well.
No way. So I can do it with men with a penis?
Yes, you actually can, I'm pretty sure.
All right.
Yeah.
This is next gen.
This is next gen. Okay. Matt, let's
I think you're the next one.
8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
If I was playing it on the Xbox One, I would give it an 8.
I'd probably even lower.
less.
Yeah. I was gonna say it depends on what Matt's about to say, but
I didn't.
Honestly, if I get farther into the story, I might give it like I might give it like a 9 or more if the story really gets good, which I'm assuming it is because we're really in the beginning. But anyways,
in the beginning,
I didn't know we were doing a number rating scale for the for
I
this.
don't know. Michael just did it.
Yeah, sorry. I just was going off of what I was hearing in my head.
I was gonna do letter grading.
So then me and him both gave it a B then. A B plus.
8.5, yeah, that's 85%, but a B plus.
We're doing an exact equivalency. That makes sense. So I know I said don't buy it. I just think that if you were interested in the game and you've been hearing about the glitches and all that, just maybe wait. I know they released the. Keep in mind what I played just earlier, even before the show. when this was after a like 15 gigabyte patch. I still was having some frustrations, but I'll have to wait and see until tomorrow how much that patch really helped things. I think the performance on Generation 8 consoles, be it PS4, Xbox One, from my experience on a base Xbox One, it's been a lot of issues that have been very frustrating, whether it be frame rate or just general stuttering. But then there's other issues. There's pauses. There's some crashes. There was 2 crashes just yesterday. A lot of the glitches tend to happen for me on vehicles. If I'm getting into a vehicle and I want to change the camera to third person, sometimes if I've just loaded a save, it won't change to third person immediately. I have to like get out of the car and get back in, or I have to wait for a phone call, or funnily enough to crash into something for the camera to change. Same thing with changing the radio or answering the phone. Sometimes there will be just a pause. There's a 40% chance during like answering the phone or changing the radio station, mostly just to turn it off for me. There's a 40% chance the game will just freeze for like half a minute, and then my vehicle continues accelerating. And no matter how much I think I can turn in time when the vehicle starts moving again, I will hit something and I will fly off my motorcycle. So some of these are funny. I power slided, like I did a handbrake turn. By the way, handbrake turning on a motorcycle, for some reason, like I'll handbrake and I'll be good. The motorcycle's pointed in the direction I want to go, and then I'll hit accelerate and it'll start turning to the right again. I was like, what? No. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, a lot of the driving, like especially with motorcycles, like I can't turn normally with a motorcycle. It won't let me.
It's very strange.
I have to handbrake going at least like 50 miles per hour for me to actually turn.
Yeah. And for me personally, like my ideal driving in a video game is like the Batmobile from Arkham Knight. Most other video game cars I don't like, because the handbrake is going to be like just like, give me the handbrake from the Batmobile in Arkham Knight. Just like it almost always works. It's exactly the right amount of deceleration to make those turns. It's beautiful. I wish more games catered to that desire of mine.
And we have to talk about Gotham Knights eventually. I'm sorry
eventually.
Matt, can I pause you for just a second?
Sure.
I'm sorry, something came to mind. I just want to say as well, I know Frank and I aren't really having too many issues, but I also just have to keep in mind, we're technically still playing last gen version on our Xbox. Like this isn't the next gen version of Cyberpunk 2077 that comes out next year.
It is right, because it's backwards compatibility.
Exactly. So it's a possibility if we get the next update, if they haven't fixed a decent amount of bugs by then, like that could just destroy our game. So
maybe it's very possible.
Or it might make it even better. Who knows?
The patches have definitely put band-aids on those issues, but it still runs to a degree. It runs in a way that I find unacceptable in a sense. Just because, like, I remember I did a handbrake turn and I went into what I thought was an alley. It wasn't an alley. It was a hole that shouldn't exist, and I fell below the map. And it's like I fell into like a trap in like Interstellar. I was going through dimensions, and I just remember thinking like, oh no, when was my last save? I will say this: good thing that they do here in Cyberpunk that they didn't do in the console port of Witcher 3. There is a quick save feature, which I was very thankful for, because in Witcher 3,
how do you quick save?
You just pause and then you press Y, and then there's a quick save.
I did back and go to save game.
Yeah, that's what I was doing too. It saved me a ton of time, because like when I play games on PC, like especially Witcher 3 or games that require a lot of decision making, I'm pressing F5 every 30 seconds so in case I make a decision that I don't like. I think a lot of consider every positive aspect I have to say about this game as something that you should look forward to when they release a copy that's worth the money. As it is right now, you can't buy it on PlayStation 4 anymore because they recalled it and are giving back refunds. Xbox are also giving back refunds. They are going to the efforts to make sure that people who are unsatisfied, because I didn't have to pay for this. Thank God I was game sharing because Xbox has one of the greatest features of the Xbox One. a console that ultimately, in some cases, I'm not too fond of. They have those beautiful family settings that let you set another Xbox as your home Xbox so that your friends can have your library of games. And then when you're like, hey, you gonna buy that new game, friend? Oh, but hey, let's split the cost and get that for $30. Our lovely friend Alex got back from a long trip and immediately bought Cyberpunk. And so I didn't even have to pay for it. If I had paid money for this game, it was one thing if I paid $30. If I paid $60, I would be very unhappy. That being said, the story is so good.
Right?
And I will say, I think the start was a bit disappointing to me, only because when they advertise the life paths of like Street Kid, Corpo, Nomad, but those life paths, their chief function is allowing you to make dialogue choices later in the game based on those backgrounds in creative ways, and it'll be different for different characters. So you'll have advantages in some discussions over others. But the way the game actually starts, depending on those backgrounds, it's actually pretty short, that background. And then, no matter which background you pick, whether it be Corpo, Street Kid, or Nomad, they all lead to the exact same cutscene and montage. And then you basically are on the same journey throughout the rest of the game. The difference, though, the main key difference is those dialogue options, like I said, as well as the intrinsic motivation to roleplay. What I mean by intrinsic, it's like, it's not something that's clearly rewarded or clearly labeled in the game, but like, if you picked Street Kid or Corpo, I guarantee you there were reasons you did that, because you liked the idea of role-playing a character within that background. You thought that was cool. Cyberpunk does do intrinsic motivation really, really well in its storytelling. And I think that the dialogue trees and the ways that your skills contribute to different dialogue options is really clever. I get more enjoyment
that honestly is I was gonna say that's like literally one of my favorite mechanics.
I get more enjoyment out of the dialogue in this game than I get out of anything else, like traveling, shooting, any of that stuff. All that can take a backseat, honestly, to the RP in this RPG. Like, it is all really, really well done. I also want to say Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand is amazing, and I don't give a shit if some of the line delivery can be awkward now and again. Like, he does a really good job in the role he's given, and he has a presence unlike any other character in the story. And I think it's a blessing, because when I first heard he was involved, I thought he was just going to be like relegated to like a small cameo or something, but it's not. Like, he's there for the whole story, because it is a story of you and him, and it's beautiful. And the discussions between V and Johnny, like overall, some of the storytelling and the dialogues you have in this game are some of the best video game conversations I've bared witness to since last year's Death Stranding. And I would listen to countless more. I'm only like maybe halfway through the main story. Story has been really good. The conversation's great. I just but really, I feel like when it comes to gameplay, I feel like I wouldn't be having as much fun if I had paid for it, because I'd just be thinking like, oh god, all these issues that are just getting in the way. I'm excited to finish the game and try another life path with a different build, because I think that the game seems to be built to incentivize multiple playthroughs. I'm uncertain how to spec my character, because there's so many different avenues to go down. I was telling Colin that my character as they are now is something of a jack of all trades. Like, I get the feeling that you're supposed to put your points into specific skill trees to really incentivize a particular play style, or a certain way of going about the game. But for me, I'm just putting a little bit of something into everything, which has its positives and negatives. Kind of reminds me of when I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and there was a moment where I was like, I'm just not feeling this. And then I used the feature, the very generous feature they put in that game, which was you could reset all your points. And then I put those new points into, like, exclusively into the stealth tree of the 3 options they had for character growth. And suddenly the game was exactly what I wanted from the game. I think that going through a second time in Cyberpunk is going to be similar. If I decide, like, you know what, I really do want to be, like, really stealthy, and I want to emphasize hacking, and I want to wield a katana primarily, and like use bladed weapons more. Like, I want to do that kind of shit. I think that's going to be super fun going through it a second time, knowing what I should have done the first time. So it's a learning curve, I'd say. And I think that if you have an idea of what you want to do, get a very clear idea of the type of character you want to create. And if you're doing that through the lens of what you know about Cyberpunk and what you've seen from the marketing, you will have a phenomenal time. And you'll have and I think you'll find that this game is exactly what you're looking for. The Cyberpunk stories that appeal to me the most are stuff like Ghost in the Shell. This doesn't quite have that same appeal. You know, this is more kind of like this is really emphasis on the punk of Cyberpunk. You know, like it is the corporations, and it's the kind of that separation between the rich and the poor. Whereas, you know, stuff like Ghost in the Shell has always appealed to me more for the military aspect of things. There isn't a lot of that here. Like, it's not like there's a life path where you get to be a cop or like a soldier, although that would be kind of cool if they did an expansion. But they should focus on finishing the game that they already have. I think that stuff is really cool, and the fantasy and the world is very meticulously designed. My friend Kevin has been playing it. He absolutely loves it, and God bless him, you know, it's been running a lot better for him since he plays it on PC. But he told me about how, like, when he was younger, he had written like a short story of like what like his ideal world would be like. I think it was like a class project, and he said that it would be kind of like a city, a futuristic city where it was always nighttime and it was always raining, and every district was like a different culture from around the world. And he told me that, like, when he played Cyberpunk, he was like just awestruck because the way that city looked and the way that city felt was exactly what he always imagined the ideal fantasy city would be for him. Yeah. And I think that's what this game does really effectively, is that it creates a fantasy that it isn't always pleasant, but it's always engrossing, and it captures the imagination. And I wish I could end this review by being a lot more positive, but I do think that as of now, my score is going to be a bit lower because of those tech problems and those issues. For me, I'd say that the Generation 8 port, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, I'd probably give it... I'm kind of riding high on the positive things I just said, so I'm going to give it like a C+. But just know that depending on how the story goes from here and, you know, the patches, it could very easily be an A or an A-. So, like, that's the type of potential this game has. That's how much I love CD Projekt Red. I just think that they have made some bad calls in producing this and in the timeline that they gave themselves and that they were given. And I think that it's just been a very messy situation. But I do think that the stuff that we always give CD Projekt Red credit for, those things are still all there. It's the dialogue options, it's the branching narratives, and even when those choices don't always make a huge difference, the intrinsic motivation still persists. It makes those decisions feel meaningful, even if later on you realize they weren't really meaningful, because it was still a choice that you made to say the things you did or to do the things you did. And I think it's definitely, I think it's a great story. So Colin, you've played the most of it. You've played the most of this game. You actually finished your first playthrough. So
Matt, do you mind me asking what time we're at?
We are at currently an hour 53. So I know we're kind of going a bit long, but I want to give Colin the time to talk.
For sure. Yeah, no.
Because I feel like I've kind of hogged a lot of. I was trying to make this quick, but look at me.
Look at me.
Just so you guys know, our episodes from episode 2 and everything after that will be under an hour and a half. We got the big ultimates. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Penultimate
premiere, the show premiere. So we're going a little longer. We're going like a half an hour longer, or however.
Well, yeah.
Colin, don't cut your review down at all, because this is like your time to shine. So go for it.
Just don't shine too much. I don't want to get spoiled.
No, I won't. Okay, so I won't be going into like story spoilers or anything like that. But I agree with everything you guys have said. Matt, going back to the dialogue thing you're talking about, I totally agree. Like I went like a body cool build, right? Mm-hmm. Like every like body related option you had was just like a really badass intimidation line from like an action movie, right? Like,
yeah.
And I want to say as well, sorry, I don't mean to interject real quick, but I feel the same exact way because I have a lot of technical and the intelligence. So like my guy would just be like, I remember one specific one with Judy in the beginning, and then he's like, oh, got some pretty cool gear here, and he starts like going like into depth, and like I like start to learn lore, but also like my guy is saying things that even I don't understand, and because he's so intelligent, I'm like, oh shit, like it's stuff like that makes me really feel like that's awesome.
Yeah. But okay, yeah. So to start off with the story telling, fan freaking tastic. I will say though, the side quest lines kind of steal the show in the long run. Like main story is great. Side stuff, like I was telling Matt, Judy's side quest line, freaking best storyline in the game. Every time Judy gave me a new quest for this reason, I was like, oh my god, Judy, let's go.
My favorite side quest so far has been Smoking Penis Man.
Yes. Voiced by famous, famous to me, YouTuber and streamer Jesse Cox.
It's true.
Yeah.
Going to the issues I've had, oh God, I'm going to sound like such an ass on this podcast. I'm only expressing issues. But,
I gave it.
Well, considering you're the only one who beat it, it's okay.
That's true. Johnny and V's relationship is a very complicated and cool relationship, but it's very odd because a lot of their relationship is developed in these side quests as opposed to the main story. Like there's still some development in the main story, but a lot of it takes place in these side stories. And what's really inconsistent is that in some quest lines, it's like, yeah, we're bros. Other quest lines, like, hey, fuck you. It's very inconsistent in that regard. But I guess you can't really do that when you play side quests out of line. But I don't know. That's a personal gripe of mine. So you can never really tell where the two of them stand, even at the end of the story, I feel like. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but
maybe it's to show that relationships are finicky.
Maybe that's true.
It's a social commentary on friendship.
There you go. And then Cyberpunk is, regarding the ending, I'm not saying any story elements. This is just how mechanically how you get an ending. But Cyberpunk is guilty of something that a lot of modern quote unquote choice-based RPGs are guilty of. I've noticed this ever since I played Kingdom Come Deliverance, and I've noticed this with
Feeling a bit hungry.
I'm gonna steal your lunch potion. And with like Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla and whatnot, like those non-BioWare choice-based RPGs that try to be BioWare choice-based RPGs. But in the end, your choices don't matter. It's the illusion of choice these games are giving you, I feel like, because the way cyberpunk endings work is the ending literally only matters based off of 2 choices you make in the last hour of the game.
Oh, that's dumb.
Before that doesn't matter. Which,
that's really dumb.
Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of a similar complaint that people had about Deus Ex Human Revolution, because that was a game where people were like, well, hold on, like the ending is just you like choosing between which button to press. What the hell is that? And I get it. That being said, like there's a difference between that game and like there's also there's a similar reason as to why people were angry about the ending of like Mass Effect 3 and about how like my choices don't matter. I think it depends on what I was talking about earlier, that kind of like intrinsic motivation, like what like quests and like what missions and adventures, like what is the experience leading up to that ending? What types of lessons and morals has that instilled intrinsically in the character that you're role playing as that motivates what their final decision would be? That's how I've always looked at it. I do get though that it can be frustrating. It's like, well, like if the choice that matters is right here, then what the hell was the point of all those other choices?
Right. Like I agree with you, Matt, in that the journey there, it's fantastic and you can role play it. And I'm not saying these endings are bad. Hell, they're freaking fantastic. I had to go take a walk after I finished it for the first time yesterday because it was so good. But I think that what makes me disappointed in that is that when you look at games like Dragon Age or Mass Effect, every time you finish the game, they do like a whole recap on how all your choices throughout the game affected the world as a whole. So you can see like how you've... Sorry, what did you say, Michael?
Excuse me, that was Frank.
I just said I love that as well.
Yeah. So like you get to see how your character made an impact, while with like Odyssey and Valhalla, it's like, oh, maybe like 2 of my close family members survived, and that's literally it. You didn't make an impact on the world, but that's a whole nother discussion because they have to state a historical accuracy. But yeah, in the end, I would say I would give this game a 9, so an A.
Okay.
The first A of the podcast.
Yeah. I would take it down because, as we discussed, of all the bugs, because
only with time that's going to get better. Right. Just like Battlefront 2.
Technically, a 9 would be an A-.
That's true. But in my opinion, if you want to play this game, yes, you can role play a character all you want. Just know that go into this game knowing that it's more of a linear path than anything, and you'll have a lot more fun of a time. Like you won't be let down.
Right. So yeah, okay. I will say I'm a little bit disappointed because I initially thought that, because I remember at one point like I learned that like, oh, eventually you won't be able to do any more side stuff, and you'll just be like forced to do like the end mission or something like that. Yeah. And I thought that like your side stuff is going to be what's affecting your main mission.
So the side stuff, if you do all the side stuff, it opens more options for the ending.
Well, that's cool.
There's realistically only 2 choices still in the end.
That sucks. They're just like maybe slight variations kind of thing.
Well, so like, this isn't really spoilery, but if you don't do the side stuff, you really only have 1 option. But if you do the side stuff, you have 3. So yeah.
But you're telling me those 3 is really only 2?
No.
Well, at least that's what it made you say. Well, because you said there's only 2 options for the longest time, and then you just said there's 3. So
I think the choices, the ending outcome is based off of 2 choices.
I gotcha.
So there's 3 main choices, and then 2 choices within each of those 3 is what I mean.
I gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
So Yeah.
Well,
Fantastic game, great storytelling. It's just don't go into this game thinking it's like a BioWare game or something like that.
Right. Or alternatively, go into this thing and think to yourself, well, at least it's not a BioWare game.
Inquisition was good.
I've heard
at the
mixed.
same time,
See, I've heard mixed things. You're one of the only people I know who like says really good things about Inquisition.
I mean, people have a complicated relationship with the Dragon Age franchise, but again, that's another conversation for another.
Yeah.
But Inquisition, I would definitely say is one.
We got what?
Ones.
We got 2 B pluses, a C plus, and an A.
A minus.
A minus.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. Like, what does that average out to? Like a B, maybe, right?
No,
Something like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to do math.
I already started a new character that I send to this group, so like don't let what I'm saying deter you from playing.
And by the way, so before the show started, I texted the group just with no context. This game sucks.
This game sucks.
So the reason so I did one of those missions for there's a AI cab driver named Delamain. There's a quest line involving them. So I played the mission that was basically just a huge Portal reference.
Oh yeah.
And that mission has a gunfight in it, which is kind of like I wouldn't say it comes out of nowhere because the people who are going to inevitably kill you are just shouting at you with all of the subtlety of a hobo on the side of the street. So, but then I died like 8 times trying to kill those guys. And I would reload the save right before, and I'd be like, what am I doing wrong? These guys, like, this isn't even like a very high difficulty mission. I was so... Turns out I had to beat it just the way I ended up doing it was like I had to walk behind them before they started attacking me, and I just grabbed them behind and snapped their necks. But because those...
Nice.
And then the last 2, I just killed them with a smart shotgun. The guns are pretty cool in the game, by the way. But I just was losing my goddamn mind because I was just like, well, so like finally the glitches like aren't like, well, I mean, as of right now, as of that moment after the patch was finished, glitches aren't too bad. But my God, I at that moment I really was just hating the combat in the game because sometimes like it'll be like, okay, cool, yeah, like that makes sense. I got shot a lot. I wasn't in cover, but other times like. In that particular mission, I was like on fire. I was like, why am I on fire? And I'd look down and there's like a small like what looks like a fucking like PNG, a GIF of fire, and it's like what the fuck? And then and then there's always like one guy who like runs up at you with a baseball bat, and you're thinking like I've got a gun. This is like Indiana Jones, but like no, that guy will fucking end you if you're not careful.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's cyberpunk.
Yeah, they got freaking
3 out of 10. I don't know if cyber.
Frosted field.
Yeah.
Too much punk.
I will also say though, make your expectations for this game like normal. Don't be like the people who thought this was gonna like save their marriage or some shit. Like it's a game. Like
honey, I got a new game for us. It's gonna change
yeah.
all
I know you're mad at me. I know I cheated and you want to divorce me, but this game though.
How much did you pay for this game? Like $60?
I will say I was expecting the character customization to be just maybe like a little deeper because like I know I was asking for a lot considering like, but I think it's because they had genital customization that I was like, well, clearly they're going to have just everything. This is going to be like the next fucking Black Desert in terms of like character customization. Not quite. I was just surprised.
I was expecting like Skyrim level.
The fuck?
Yeah.
I was expecting a Skyrim level of like, you can change your width of your eyes and stuff, but then you have to keep in mind if they're trying to do like, I don't know how much they actually show your face to yourself, but like when you look in mirrors and stuff and like there's some like the beginning like buddy montage, you actually see yourself.
Yeah.
Like you can't animate that properly if you have too much customization.
That's a very good point. I thought it was odd that like you couldn't customize the eyes individually.
I will say there's one main gripe that Colin can attest to.
Mm-hmm.
Where the fuck is the hide headgear option?
Yeah.
Get that dumbass headgear off of my head, and also let me wear what I want, because all the clothes that is good looks terrible on my person. I want to look cool.
I look like a construction worker with cheetah print.
This is also...
I don't want to be like a flamboyant construction worker who's also like a samurai.
That's exactly what I was going for.
Can I also say that, like, I feel like this is another thing, like, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, not perfect, but they have the hide headgear. They also have the ability to, like, no matter what...
You're about to say they have the high ground.
No matter what armor you're wearing, you can change it cosmetically to look like any other armor set that you have picked up. And I wish more games would do that shit, because what is everybody who plays these open world games that have like a ridiculous number, like you can just like walk 3 inches from a clothing store and you've picked up 3 other items off of some guy's corpse. It's like, oh well, this is like 3 points higher than the jacket I'm wearing right now that I really like. Well, shit, I guess I'm gonna change my jacket even though this one is objectively, worse looking. But like everybody always has that outfit that they consider to be the iconic look, or the outfit that like for me playing Witcher, when I got to like the DLC and found out that like the strongest armor in the game looked exactly like the first armor set you get in the beginning of the game, I was like, oh, that's perfect, because every marketing material hyped up that armor in the marketing as like that's the armor set of The Witcher.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens, I feel like, in Cyberpunk with like V's jacket and the mantis blades, is because when he like is in the trailer, he's wearing that like specific jacket and then those fucking mantis blades he's using. So
I'm still trying to find the car from the trailer.
I still haven't found it.
Yeah, I need to look for that. I know you get the jacket event, the samurai jacket eventually. it's gonna take a while.
I think that we should wrap it up.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, shameless plug, actually.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to, anyone listening, if you want to hear me or hear and see me and Matt play a D&D campaign with some other good friends, head on over to twitch.tv/bigboybenjiboy.
Yeah. Boy spelled BOI.
Yes.
Obviously.
On Tuesdays at 5:30 CST. It's a good time.
Yeah. We don't always stream the episodes, and you're probably not going to always have the context, but it's a fun time regardless.
Season 3 starting.
Yeah, we've done the first 2 major arcs of the story. We're going into the third. There's a war. There's gods going to war with people. It's all crazy.
Who have gods and are about to build nukes.
Mm-hmm.
God nukes? Oh, hell yeah.
Also, just for any updates regarding the podcast, any memes, any news, anything regarding the podcast, follow us on Instagram at The Critical Spectrum. It's just The Critical Spectrum.
Yeah, you made it sound like there's going to be like thecriticalspectrum.com.
Oh, no, well, because the second name is The Critical Spectrum Podcast, but it's just The Critical Spectrum. So follow us there for any updates, but otherwise, the episodes, until we change it, will be uploaded every Monday. We don't have a specific time. I guess I'll post it on the Instagram when we figure that out. But we will be on, I don't have to list what things we're going to be on.
But we're going to basically be on anything possible.
Yeah.
Whatever you're listening to us on, that's what we're on. So otherwise, any final things, guys?
For me, if you want to find where I'm at, I'm on Twitter, but I don't really do much there. And I don't know I think it's just at Matthew Lundeen, but I could be wrong. I am a critic over at sakurasunrise.blog. I also am the associate editor over at Anime Quarterly. You can find that at animequarterly.com. I am primarily a critic by trade. I do reviews of anime, both television and movies. I've been kind of taking a hiatus this month because I'm working on fiction writing. I'm writing a short story which might turn into a slightly longer than a short story.
A medium
story. A medium story, maybe a small novel. Who knows? I don't know how long, but I've been yeah. But I'm writing a short story called The Peacekeeper, which is basically just me writing in written form what I would love to make if I had the resources, as like maybe like a 30 to 40 minute like short film or animated OVA. So I'm basically it's a supernatural crime thriller in a sense. I might publish that somewhere once I'm done with it. If I'm not done with it by the end of December, might continue working on it into January. But yeah, you can find my written reviews of content. I'm also on YouTube. I'll probably put a link to that somewhere in wherever we're posting all this stuff. I told myself I was going to make more YouTube videos. Still plan to do that, but there's been a lot going on in the world. But you can see my video on animation. You can see my review of Castlevania on Netflix. I got a couple of cool things worth checking out. So that's where you can find me.
All right. Well, other than our Instagram, we don't have anything else. I mean, Michael, do you wanna share your
Yet?
Yeah.
My plug. I'll eventually start
Instagram.
Doing something.
I know.
Hey, you know that one thing that people all love? I do that.
Oh God. All right. Well, if you've made it this far,
sorry, Matt, that was cocaine. Nice try.
If you've made it this far, listen to this extremely long podcast. We appreciate the hell out of you. Stay tuned. Hey, go ahead and give us some feedback if you feel it. If you feel so, DM us on our Instagram or comment on whatever you want. I don't know if this is going on YouTube, but if it's on YouTube, comment, hit us into the comments. Otherwise, thanks for listening, guys, and see you next week. Peace out.